In our last video, we started learning about operators in JavaScript, and in this video, we're going to continue right where we left off. In this video, we're going to go ahead and talk about comparison and type operators, and we'll also touch briefly on logical operators. So to get started, if you can go ahead and go into your project folder, if you can go ahead and go into the 10-operators2 folder, and then in the start subfolder, open up the main.js file, and in your browser, go ahead and open up that index.html page in the start subfolder. When you do, you should see operators part 2 on the page. So the first operator we're going to talk about is comparison operator. The comparison operator is used to see if a particular statement is true or false. This is useful in your code because sometimes you only want to run a line of code if a certain value is true. So one example is, let's say we have a web page, and as a business we offer free shipping if your value is over $25. We could use an if statement to set our shipping value to 0 if we check that the cart value is above 25. So to see some of these in action, what we'll do is I'm going to go ahead and make a few variables. I'm going to do var a equals 1 and var b equals 2. So the first comparison operator we have is equal to. So this is useful for seeing if a particular value is equal to another value. So we're going to do console.log a is equal to b, and we should expect this to be false because this value of a is 1, the value of b is 2. They are different; they don't match. And we can also use these. We can also use this for strings. So we can do var c equals 1 and var d equals 2. So if we go ahead and do console.log c equals d, go ahead and refresh, it should be false because they are two different strings. So this comparison operator is sometimes called the strict comparison operator because it does what equal to does, but in addition to that, it also checks the type of the variable. And this can be important because in JavaScript, we can check for equality between two different types of variables. So just for example, let me go ahead and copy this line here, and I'm going to go ahead and do a equals c. Let's go ahead and refresh our page, and you see we get true. And you may have been expecting false because you would think that the value of a is set to a number 1 and the value of c is set to a string 1. However, in JavaScript, when you use comparison operators on values of different types, what JavaScript will do is it's going to take the string value and it's going to go ahead and try to convert it to a number when it does any type of comparison. And so when it converts it to a number, we'll see that 1 is equal to 1, and so the statement is true. However, if we replace this with a strict equality operator, and we go ahead and save and refresh our page, we see that it is actually false because JavaScript's converting it to a number, and we say that's true. However, JavaScript sees that these are two different types, so it makes it false. So it's usually recommended that you use the strict equality comparison operator, so that way we don't get into instances where we compare these two things and we expect them to be false. So next we have our does not equal operator. Basically just checks to see if these two values are not equal and returns true if that is the case. So if we go ahead and switch this out with the not equals and we save and refresh our page, you'll see we get true because these two values are not equal. So this operator is the strict not equal to operator, so it checks the value and the type. So if we go ahead and copy these two down lines of code here, and we go ahead and paste them here, let's go ahead and change this to the does not equal and the does not equal strict operator. And we'll go ahead and refresh. And you'll see that it says A does not equal C. It comes back false because it believes that 1 and 1 are equal. However, if we do strict equality check, it comes back as true because it knows that these types are different. And then finally, we have our less than and greater than, and our less than and greater than or equal to operators. So these are useful if we want to see if a value is larger than another value. So as you see, we can do console.log 3 is greater than 4. And we do console.log 3 is less than 4. And we'll also just do console.log 3 is greater than or equal to 3. So we go ahead and save and refresh. You'll see that for our first line, we get false because 3 is not greater than 4. And for our next two lines, because 3 is less than 4 and 3 is also equal to 3, we get true for the results. So the next operator I want to talk about is the logical operator. So the logical operator is also used to test for true or false statements. So there are three logical operators. There's and, or, and not. So and is useful for when we want to compare if there's two statements that are true, and it only returns true if both are true. So for example, I'm just going to do var d will equal 1 is less than 10 and 2 is greater than 3. So if we go ahead and console log d here, we should expect it to be false because both of these statements are not true. And you'll see that we do get false. Our next operator is the or operator, which basically returns true if either of these statements is true. So if I go ahead and copy this line, if we go ahead and copy these two lines here, let's go ahead and do e for our variable, and we'll change this to an or. So if we go ahead and save and refresh, you'll see that now we get true back. So then the last logical operator is not. So basically, it takes an evaluation and it makes it the opposite of that. So if a statement is true and we include the not operator, then it'll make it false. And likewise, if our statement is false, it'll go ahead and make it true. So for example, if I just go ahead and do console.log d equals e, we go ahead and save and refresh, we should get false because this is a false value and this is a true value, so they're not equal, so it should be false. However, if we go ahead and copy this statement here, and we paste it down here, let's go ahead and just wrap this in parentheses, and we say not this value, then it should evaluate to true. So you see we have our false value and then we have our true value because we're saying not false, so it's true. So there are two additional types of JavaScript operators. They are type and ternary, and we will not be covering those in this video. I just wanted to make you aware that there are additional types of operators, and we'll be covering these further in another lesson.